Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into twitch.tv/iScreamPods, and let's check the microphone. And it seems to be working. We appear to be decent. Good morning, good morning. How the devil are we all today? Welcome in. Happy Monday, start of a new week. And, Bibby, you appear to have a house coat on.
I do have a house coat on, Graham. Have you got a house coat on?
Oh, I've got a house coat as well. Yeah, I mean, it's dressing gown, but house coat, yeah. We tuned into Show's stream this morning. Show was wearing his house coat. Bibby dropped in, called it a house coat. So when we jumped on the call with Bibby, saw Bibby was wearing a house coat. Can I say house coat a few more times? And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to wear my house coat. So we're all house coated out. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Enix! 11 months with the Prime. Woo. Thank you very much for the Prime. I'll read. Welcome in. Good morning. Just to clarify, if anyone is late into the party, doesn't know what we've discussed before, it's a dressing gown. We've had this conversation. House coat. Is it just a Scottish thing, or is it like is that kind of used more commonly in Scotland? I don't know. But house coat is / well, I say Scottish. Is it just a Scottish? I also know it's an old lady thing. So if you're an old lady and Scottish, then chances are you call your dressing gown a house coat. But that's a different thing. That's not what we're here. We're not here. This is not your daily dose of house coat news from around the world. This is The Scoop. If you don't know what this is or who we are, then my name is Graham Day, and this is the man that we call Bibby. And we are Ice Cream Uploads. And in true ice creamy fashion, this is The Scoop, the UK's #1 video game podcast, even if we do say so ourselves. We're going to give you our thoughts and impressions on the biggest, the best, and breaking stories from the world of video games. And we want your thoughts and impressions on our thoughts and impressions in return. You can share that with us live each and every single weekday when we go live without fail, no delays, on the dot, bang on the money at 10 a.m. ish. It's 11:15. But you know, that's why we have an ish emote. There's no point having an ish emote if you don't give people the opportunity to use it. Anyway, we go live at 10 a.m. ish each and every single weekday on twitch.tv/ice cream uploads. And if you're in the chat, please feel free to jump in, use your voice. And it's important that you do, because we turn this live stream into a podcast, a video that goes out on YouTube, and an audio podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, all of the places, so people can watch and listen on demand, but they don't get to use their voices right here, right now. Live on Twitch, so if you are here, that's on you. Do that for them. Brief reminder, ! Loot drop should hopefully work, because chatbot is alive. ! Loot drop tells you how, if you are a sub, you can get yourself a prize, potentially, every month, potentially. Only one person wins a month, but it could be you in theory every month. It's probably not going to be, but it could be. Anyway, if you are a sub, make sure you have entered the loot drop. It's free. If you've subbed already using tier 1, 2, 3 or Prime, doesn't matter, you can enter the loot drop each and every single month to bag yourself a prize. We actually need to decide the prize for March. Yes. So we do the draw the first Monday of the month. Gary Clark won this month's prize. Still waiting on a response from Games Apparel, which is nice. So we'll hopefully get that sent out at some point, maybe even this week. Who knows? But Gary will get his ICU jersey this week, and then we have something to give out next week. So we'll have discussions on that as time goes on. Anyway, I'll jump into the split screen. Good weekend, Bib.
I, for one, had a very, very good weekend. How about you?
Oh, that sounds like, before I talk about me, as a, why? Why did you have it's because you said 4-1?
It's because I got to chapter 4 on Super Lucky Tales. No, Manchester City beat Liverpool.
Good result.
4-1.
Good result, that.
Who'd have thought that?
It's kind of a weird one. West asked me this morning, or last night it probably was, I saw it this morning, who I would have liked to have won that game. And I genuinely don't know. Because, I mean, my head's telling me, well, clearly you want Liverpool to win that game so you can close the gap on City. But my heart's telling me, yeah, but if Liverpool win it again. It's a
tough decision, but I mean, if I was in United's position, I'd still want Liverpool to win, because I think Liverpool, like, it's the same way that in more often than not at this moment in time, if City win, I'd want United to win, because I think United are more likely to drop points than I think Liverpool are. At this moment in time, Liverpool are definitely more likely to drop points. But in the grand scheme of things, if all of the Liverpool squad was there, and the one excuse that Klopp, I said to Walker because I was watching it with him on Discord, I was like, he's going to come up with an excuse. I don't know what the excuse is going to be, but there's going to be an excuse in there. And did you hear what his excuse was?
I didn't.
For why Alisson ended up miskicking the ball?
No.
He had cold feet.
Well, there you go.
Maybe he had cold feet. But I'm like, look, Liverpool. I think United are more likely to drop points than Liverpool were at this moment in time. That isn't likely. But yeah, I think from United's perspective, I think you'd probably want Liverpool to beat City because Liverpool are more likely to drop points than City are. So every time someone comes to play against City, you'd want City to lose so you can close the gap.
So like I said, that's your head talking, and that's what I'm saying. My head says, well, get Liverpool dropping some, taking some points off City there. Then that's what you want. But my heart's just like, can we get 0-0, but nobody gets points? That would be the best way.
Match abandoned.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take one of those, please. Good morning, Mike. He says, hey, welcome in. Kohai Dux says hi and then has all of the faces in the world. Welcome in. Good morning. Good morning. Mr. Garlic Clark is in the chat. Morning, Shaggers. Shaggers house coats. Welcome in, Gary. How's things? Good weekend. What'd you get up to? Enix says, whoop. I played some PUBG with Enix. We got absolutely trashed on Friday, which was nice. Ryan Coppin says, I got my first goal 2 in Foot Champs. Well, GG. I have never played Foot Champs. I'm not a big FIFA player. I'm more PES. So do you get anything good? I know you get like packs and stuff in the better you...
like 17 wins for goal 2?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. But then when you get the packs at the end, is goal 2 kind of a good enough level to make sure that you at least get something decent? Because I know everything's random and down to luck, but if you get goal 2, are you likely to get a good player at the end of it? Is that how that works? Because I keep seeing loads of stuff about goal 2 gang and whatever. Someone's even made, I can't remember who it is, it's one of the esports guys has made goal 2 gang as like a community or something. So I know goal 2 is decent enough, but I don't know if you actually get anything from it. I don't know. Enix says, can't make an excuse saying because Virgil van Dijk is out that your whole team is playing bad, especially up front. Yeah, I mean, having a weak defence means you ship goals. United know that more than anyone, but that doesn't necessarily impact on the way that you go forward. If it does, then that's because you've got inside your own head. I know that's people are going to start like picking that apart and saying, yeah, but your defence is the start of your attack, and if having a weaker defence means that you're obviously weaker in attack. I mean, that I can vouch for that as a United player, but as a United fan, I mean, back in the day when I used to put the boots on for United, but when you've got essentially the bones of the same team that had Virgil van Dijk there, plus better, then going forward they should be fine. It's on the counter, they should get hit. But I don't know whether it's the fear of not having Van Dijk there or whatever, but they're just not as clinical, as decisive. Plus teams now know what to look for as well, so that goes against them as well. So, yeah, they
still didn't have Laporte, Torres, De Bruyne, Aguero, and Kyle Walker yesterday.
Oh no, Torres retired ages ago, mate, and he never played for City. I've told you.
Varane.
No. Varane plays for Real Madrid.
Yeah, I would have absolutely. Oh god, I don't know what I'd have done if I'd seen Fernando in a City shirt.
I thought it was going to happen for about 2 years. Thought it was going to happen for a United, from a United perspective, and then obviously went from Atletico to Liverpool. Gutted. United picked with shoehorned into every conversation with David Silva, Fernando Torres, David Villa, all of that young Spanish contingent like 15 years ago, and we got none of them.
And with Schneider, don't forget Schneider, that happened every single year.
I think he's still about to sign for us, actually, to be fair. Cold feet. Maybe we should. Cold feet says, Gary, fuck me. I'd have cold feet for life for 80 grand a week. I'd have cold feet for life for 80 grand. I mean, I always have cold feet anyway. That's why I've got Ugg slippers. I'm an old man. Asim says, City have pretty much got it. Next 5 games will confirm it. City have Spurs, Everton, Arsenal, West Ham, and then United. After that, we'll know who'll win the league. Brackets, City. No, I agree. I think that's pretty much nailed on.
That's still tough running.
No,
Everton, Arsenal, West Ham, and United. West Ham are playing great football at the moment. Arsenal are in 10th. They're not playing great, but Everton and United. they're both picking up points. Like they're not easy games by any stretch.
Yeah,
I'd take 5 draws out of them.
I think that's kind of what he was getting at, because there's still like 16 games left or something like that.
Yeah.
But after that next 5, it could be sewed up. If you get a good run of games through that, that's it. It's game over. Because after that, you'll just have like the stragglers and stuff, and you'll be playing without the pressure. You'll just be playing liquid football.
Garrett got a game in hand as well.
Yeah, fucker. Watched most of the Super Bowl last night and played some Borderlands 3 with Asim Tanvir. I may have Borderlands. So maybe that could be.
I may have Borderlands.
Maybe that's something that we play soon. Maybe.
4-way.
Easy, Tiger. That's only in a weekend. What's this superb owl though? Sounds like a pretty good owl. I almost reshared my superb owl tweet that I've been sharing for the last 2 or 3 years, and I thought, you know what? It's had its day. I'll leave it alone. Enix says what Roy Keane said last night was spot on. They hyped themselves up, then didn't keep a good mentality. Not once have they mentioned that they want to win it again. I think that's the thing. Like it's almost going into a derby or something like that. You either run your mouth and then have the potential of being ripped apart, or you keep your mouth shut and then you don't get ripped apart as much afterwards. And I think Liverpool have been a bit like that in terms of they've not been running their mouths, which it almost kind of like shows a lack of belief in themselves. So I do see that. Liverpool have been playing at their maximum best for 2 seasons. Klopp getting the best out of everyone, even Origi catching up with them, it seems. Yeah, I mean, it happens. Asim says, I love a good 4-way, especially in Borderlands. Nice. See, I started Spider-Man. That was my video game weekend. I restarted Spider-Man. Restarted it. I re-jumped into the story. Spider-Man Remastered. I got so far in, and it's been like the best part of a month since I last touched it. And do you know when a game just kind of weighs on you so heavily that you don't want to start playing it because I need to get used to the button schemes and I need to figure out the storyline, or I can't remember what happened. And anyway, after about an hour and a half yesterday, I'm like, why did I stop playing this? This is amazing. So yeah, there we go. Start playing Spider-Man again. Anyway, that was the video games of the weekend for us. Anyway, Bibi also had some pet stuff. So he didn't mention that, but he did. That's true. He was telling me last night. I had some PUBGs, some Spider-Man, but one thing I didn't have, although I did have quite a lot of chat about it with Halo, with Jordan on Friday, was Halo, which is good because that's our first. Find the window. That's our first discussion topic for you guys today. Feel free in the chat to jump in with your thoughts on this as we go through, because as you will be well aware, I don't have many opinions and much to input on Halo, so you guys feel free to fill in the gaps. But Vikki Blake at Eurogamer says 343 Industries teases there's a new place and way to play Halo Master Chief Collection on the way. Expect changes to quit ban rules too. Halo, the Master Chief Collection developer 343 Industries is teasing a new place and way to play is on the way. In its latest Halo Waypoint, the developer talked candidly about its challenging challenges. Nice, including a new seasonal challenge to unlock the Mr. Chief helmet that's been causing quite a bit of grief. Is that supposed to say Mr. Chief?
No, that's absolutely should say Master. I think Vicky's just knocked this one out as fast as she could.
I mean, good effort. That's incredible. There we go. Including a new seasonal challenge to unlock the Mr. Chief helmet. We assume is Master Chief. That's been causing quite a bit of grief, as well as outlining penalties for unsporting Spartans who quit mid-game. However, buried in the flighting future section of the latest Halo Waypoint update, 343 Industries also detailed the next batch of test flights. We have quite a bit of new content, and we are looking to get into your hands, but we are deciding what the right amount is, and are still waiting to see what progress is made in the coming weeks. And also teasers maybe a new place and way to play. Little else was given away, unfortunately, but we can expect to learn more later this month. For now, though, Halo fans are speculating that this may mean MCC is on its way to the Epic Game Store. Thanks, VG247. As for mid-match quitting and the penalties for doing so, stating that the moral of the story is don't quit, but if half of your team has, then you won't be punished for doing so. The current ban ladder sees first offender slapped with a 1-minute ban, the second 3 minutes, the third 5 minutes, and the fourth offence will result in a 10-minute ban. Any additional offences will see you get a further 10-minute timeout. Now, the first 50% rule will ensure you don't get penalised if over half of your team has already quit on you. The first 50% means that if you're in a 4v4, that the first 2 players to quit on your team will receive a quit ban. 343 Industries Postums explained. However, after at least 50% quit, you are free to quit without a ban. There is a caveat where if a player doesn't connect to the server and does not make it into the game, the automated quit ban service will not see them as ever being a part of that game. In that situation, the first 2 players to manually quit on that team will receive the ban. And last, but certainly not least, all participants getting involved between now and the end of the month will unlock the Black History nameplate in honour of Black History Month. For full details, head on over to Halo Waypoint. Okay, so we know all about Mr. Chief. And his rather lovely helmet. Woof, woof, he's a tiger. What are your thoughts on this bib?
Yeah, well, first of all, I just slagged Vikki off for spell checking. It isn't a spell check. Jordan's just confirmed that it was a meme character from Season 5. Something along those lines. Yeah, it was a meme character in Halo. They included his helmet for Halo 3 in Season 5. So, I apologise, Vikki. Why did I ever doubt your writing skills? Featured many times on the show. Apologies out the way now. Jordan speculated that we could potentially, when I was speaking to him last night in his chat as he was streaming Halo 3, he was streaming Halo 3, that there could be a possibility that it may be something that ends up coming over to Nintendo. Now, we've had a million times, we've talked about this, it's been talked about a million times on Twitter and social media and blah, 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 that there could be a Games Pass feature coming over to the Nintendo Switch, so that because they're both in bed with each other, it'll be a nice little subscription-based thing. If this comes over to Nintendo Switch, I think this would be I'm trying to think of another first-person shooter that's on the Nintendo Switch that is esports worthy. Because there's only Rogue Company, as far as I'm aware, that could potentially be made a esport out of the first-person shooter as well. I mean, that's third-person, but a shooter-ish type game. Because I can't think of another one, so I think this would fit nicely on there if it ever did come over to Nintendo Switch. I know it's a kind of a pipeline dream thing. I mean, we still haven't heard about the Nintendo Switch Pro. It's been speculation and stuff like that, but we never even heard of it. So, yeah, I think it would be nice. I mean, if it's the Epic Games Store, then it's a bit boring. Like, it's teasing something massive and it's just the Epic Games Store. It feels like an obvious one, but imagine if something left field was to come out of like a Nintendo or something like that. That would be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, they could be. Are they teasing something dramatic, or is it just a case of it's a slow news day, so let's just dig out the news? Oh, something new and unconfirmed. Let's hype. I mean, we're all guilty of jumping on a little bit of hype. So I mean, it could be that. Let's jump back into the chat though. Asim, Mr. Chief. What a typo. Gary with the Mr. Chief. Enix says Master Chef. Mr. Chef is an urban legend. Chief. He's a meme character in Halo. They included his helmet for Halo 3 in Season 5. Mr. Chief is friends with Robert Kopp. It was a meme comic that came out, and then Bungie made it a thing. Then 343 carried it on, and in Season 5 they included it as an armor customization. I just did Google it, and it was a weird sort of like drawn-on face on the mask or something. Plus, all Battle Pass in Marvel Cinematic Universe, Master Chief Collection, are free each season, like I showed Bibby last night. As in, so every season you get the Battle Pass for free?
Yeah,
as in,
you showed me last night. Because I remember playing through Halo Reach online, and they had a Battle Pass in there, and I didn't have to pay for it. I thought, oh, this must just be part of Games Pass, like I just get it for free. But apparently not. Jordan was showing me last night, like all the Battle Passes are always free. It's just something to grind for, which is cool. Imagine
a game coming with content that comes as part of the game. Imagine that. Wow, it's incredible. Yeah, I mean, so they don't have like a free and a premium version. It's just premium and everyone gets it for free. That's pretty cool. I like that. Asim, I fully agree with Asim. Says he prefers it being a typo. Yeah, Mr. Chief versus Master Chief. I'll have that one, please. Found code that it might be coming to Switch, but also that they're including custom servers so they can do some crazy game modes and modifications. Says NX Halo was the original console esport. It created console esports. That's what Halo fanboys will say. Nah. I mean, if anyone has anything to dispute that, then feel free. I would disagree with that only because I have never really been exposed to Halo esports, but I don't disagree with that fundamentally. That could absolutely be logic, but that just seems bizarre to me. I mean, it could be. Seems like 343 are ramping things up Halo-wise. Good to see. I'd love to get back into Halo multiplayer. It's all I played until Halo 3 times back in the day. Interested to see what they do with MCC in the build-up to Infinite. Yeah, I think that's kind of a key thing for me is I wonder if they expected Master Chief Collection to be doing bits as much as it has been doing in terms of, like, was that the plan all along? Or is it a case of with Infinite being delayed, have they put more resources and time into MCC to turn that into part of the hype train that leads the build up to Infinite? Either way, whichever way it works, it is working very well from what I can see. I wouldn't say Master Chief Collection is fully turning the needle in terms of registering it on everyone's radars, but for the people that do have interest in Halo already, I know that you're already kind of preaching to the converted, but a lot of people were put off by Infinite, and I think Master Chief Collection and the way that they've been working on that, plus their pledge to make Infinite right, I think Master Chief Collection is that kind of, it's getting rid of the bad taste. This is the nice, like, little bit of sweet to take away the sour taste that's been left from Craig.
But the thing is, from my perspective, and I already fallen out of, after ODST, and I'd already fallen out of the Halo series purely because I ended up going over to PlayStation. So, like, being able to go back and play Halo Reach and go back and play one of my favorite Halo games, ODST, part of the Master Chief Collection, that's phenomenal. I mean, I ended up buying them on Steam rather than getting them from Game Pass, even though I had Game Pass. I don't know why, blue screened, and just ended up buying them from Steam, even though they're like £6 each. You know what I mean? They're not expensive, but going back and being able to play Reach, because I never got to play that, thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know what the Halo community thinks about Halo Reach, but I enjoyed it for what it was. It was a good Halo game. Like, fair enough. Most of the time, it's always about multiplayer. I was like Halo 3. I was massively in. Played a little bit of Halo 2. Didn't really play online on Halo 1, but Halo 3 was like that. That's all I was playing at one point. But I think if I went back and played it online now, I would just get trashed. Like, I've been out of the game for so long that forgotten the maps, forgotten the best weapons, forgotten all the hitboxes and stuff like that. It'd make no sense. But having the Master Chief Collection there, and having the classic Halo games all been upscaled, remastered, retextured, it looks phenomenal. It's a perfectly viable option to be able to go back and play these Halo games, especially if you'd missed them like I have. My reasons for campaigns, rather than just focusing on my attention on playing online. So, yeah, I mean, for the sake of paying each game £5 or £6 or whatever it is, amazing deal.
I did lose you for a second then.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think you're back now. Say boobies.
Hello.
Nice. Okay, keep talking.
I don't really know what else to say. I don't know where I got cut off, but having Master Chief Collection on Halo and being able to go back and play the games are very good.
Yes, nice. Do us a favour, keep going through the chat. I'm just trying to drop my free sub. So.
All right, okay. So Jordan says, "Yep, you can go back and complete previous battle passes. All 343 have literally turned MCC around." Asim says, "I think they now sensibly see MCC as a gateway path to buying Infinite by hyping and bringing the content as it's consistently before Infinite comes out. Yeah, it makes sense. I wonder how much Halo 5 is going to be. Like, if it's not,
let's go.
If you have to buy it for it to be in the Master Chief Collection and you're not buying it from Games Pass, I wonder how much it's going to be. I wonder if it's going to be like £50, or you can just go and get it on Games Pass. I think that's good. Again, it's the nice little
Infinite, do you mean?
Incentive. Yeah. Sorry, not Halo 5. Yeah, sorry, Halo Infinite. If they was to be able to go in and buy the game itself, is it going to be £50, or is it the incentive to get it on Games Pass for a tenner, or Ultimate is like £14 or whatever it is? Is that the incentive for people to go in and get Games Pass for the month or for the year? I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see how it works in with the MCC, because I imagine now they want the MCC to be the launcher for all the Halo games. All the Halo games currently are sat in there, as far as I'm aware. So is the MCC going to be the launcher? Maybe that's what it is. They're just going to make their own launcher rather than it going to Epic Games Store. They're just going to literally make their own like ESO do. They have their own launcher. So I wonder if it's something like that.
Jordan says they aren't putting Halo 5 on Master Chief Collection, they said. Weird they left it out. 100% they will sell a limited edition Craig edition for Infinite. 343 really play it on community memes. We'll definitely buy a super duper collection edition for Infinite if it has a helmet head. There you go. Let's get a Craig helmet. Nice. I mean, I've got the helmet. Is that not Master Chief? It's the same thing, isn't it? Is that not the exact same? Oh no, wait, no, that's Doom. That's God. Oh my God. Oh, let's start this again.
Your mentions are gonna go wild. Oh, Graham Day, thank you very much for subbing to the channel.
Yeah, well,
28 months.
Well, you know. I just had it sat around. I had a Prime just laying there, just gathering dust. So I thought, I might as well get rid of it. Do you know what? Get it out of my space, and jobs are good. And not my space, because that's something completely different. But yeah, if you have a Prime laying around, feel free to throw it at us. We will take it away. It's like the council when you've got an old washing machine or whatever. We'll take it away. Don't worry, it's gone. It's sorted. It's lovely. So yes, 343 says that there is a new place and way to play Master Chief Collection coming on the way. I think, regardless of however that is, they are whatever that is. Be that is it, and they're making their own launcher. Be that using Epic. Excuse me. I think we've said it's building towards Infinite. And answering your question, is Infinite going to come out as £50? Absolutely. Is Infinite going to be a huge selling point for Game Pass? Absolutely. I think so. The same way that Gears 5 was a huge selling point for Game Pass at that point in time. I know a lot of people that picked up Game Pass just to play Gears 5. I was somehow merged Game Pass and Gears 5 to somehow get Game Boys. So yeah, I think, and it's not as like I'm calling something that's unheard of. It's pretty logical if you think that far forward. But I think we would see a huge media spend on awareness, not just around Infinite though. I think Infinite will be a huge catalyst for Game Pass. So we saw like 3 million subscribers for Game Pass at the end of last year. Xbox Series X sales and S sales are still skyrocketing. So I think Halo Master Chief Collection will be is now the catalyst that will start the campaign for huge media spend for Infinite to push Game Pass and the whole Xbox ecosystem. I think that will be massive when that comes. What is it? Was it summer? Was it June? Or was it pushed even further back? I can't quite remember. But whenever it does come out, expect shitloads. Yeah. Shitloads around that. Special edition Series X console standard. Absolutely. Look at everything that was Infinite branded in the UK. Energy drinks, Xbox marketing boards, adverts. So that's all going to come back again. I mean, the energy drink stuff was a bit daft, if you ask me. The fact that they had like Monster energy drinks, which is fine, but some of it was you could get in the UK, but was exclusive to America and stuff. They kind of ballsed up a little bit with the licensing of that, but that's fine because the fact that they ballsed up on the game means they get a little bit of distance and they can try again. Yay! So yeah, it'll go big. It'll go big. Anyway, let's speak about something else that could go big. Well, it actually once did go big. It was once massive. Not like that. Calm down. Easy, Tiger. No, it's not one of those stories. This is something that, if you're in the UK, I imagine you'll be more familiar than, say, if you're across Europe or across the other side of the pond. And if you're of a certain age, this will definitely resonate with you. But Andy Robinson at VGC says UK's Channel 4 is planning to reboot the GamesMaster TV show. The iconic British games programme will return as a social-first show this year. Woo! Exciting times. UK broadcaster Channel 4 is planning to reboot classic games television programme GamesMaster. It's told potential advertising partners. Channel 4 says it will revive the iconic British show as a social-first programme this year, with content to appear on its E4 channel, YouTube, and social media platforms. GamesMaster aired on the channel between 1992 to 1998 and was the first British television show dedicated to video games. Pirate, thank you very much for the host, you beautiful man. Love you very much. Hosted by Dominic Diamond Diamond, with the late Sir Patrick Moore appearing in the role as the titular GamesMaster. The programme was comprised of game reviews and challenges as players competed for a GamesMaster Golden Joystick trophy. The new show will see 5 celebrities compete across 3 television episodes, with one being crowned the GamesMaster champion. They'll undergo challenges, races, and fights in virtual battle across all genres of gaming under the watchful eye of the all-knowing GamesMaster, Channel 4 says in a pitch sent to advertisers. Each week, at least one celeb will be eliminated. Over 3 episodes, 5 will become one, and the winner will be crowned. They'll play each other at everything from iconic classics to brand new releases. We'll also be serving tons of extra gaming-themed content to our audiences to keep them coming back for more. An image hosted on Channel 4's website for GamesMaster features Hollywood actor Patrick Stewart, but there's no mention of him in its ads pitch. Channel 4 is currently seeking brand partners for product placement and sponsorship. Future Publishing, the owner of the GamesMaster brand and publisher of the recently closed Sister magazine, last said it was exploring opportunities for a revival of the TV show in 2010. GamesMaster magazine ran from 93 to 2018, having outlasted the TV series by more than 20 years. You can watch episodes of GamesMaster's first season on website Tired Old Hack. There you go. So GamesMaster could be back. Do you know what it is? Have you heard of it? Are you too young for it? Do you care if you do know what it is? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Bib?
I don't remember watching this, because when this came out, it would have been 1. When it finished, I would have been 7. So I may have watched it. My granddad may have watched it, so therefore I would have watched it, but I don't actually remember it. But I mean, it ticks all the right notes. I mean, we're trying to get the new generation into video games like this. I mean, this is pretty cool. I mean, the concept of it is really good. I mean, when I first read this, I know you and your brother talked about this in the stream, into a couple of episodes. So I thought this would definitely be more for you guys and the likes of Gary and Asim and the older generation, shall we say?
Back in my day.
Back in my day. So yeah, for me. I was just a little bit too young for it, but I love the concept of it, and I definitely, if it actually comes back, is Patrick Stewart the right person for it? I think he would be a very, very good host for it, but surely there's got to be other people to be able to host something like this. He's a very, very talented actor. Is he a TV host? That's the difference.
Well, that said, I mean, he's old, he's bald, and he's called Patrick, and has absolutely no link to video games, but is very closely linked to the stars, which is exactly what GamesMaster was previously. Patrick Moore was basically like an astronomy sort of person, like almost like Professor Brian Cox. I think he was basically thrown into it because people were like, video games are for nerds. Patrick Moore is a mega nerd, so he can be GamesMaster. So I think it was that. So in that kind of sense, Patrick Stewart probably is, if you're going for the mould that's been set, down to his name, he's a good match.
If you're looking for someone who's bald and charismatic, fucking get Richard O'Brien back. I mean, obviously he was on Crystal Maze, but he ticks all the boxes.
Stop the games, please!
Yeah. So, Dara O'Brien, bring him in. He's bald, and he's very good at doing games. I mean, what was the TV show? I used to watch it all the time. It was on Dave. That's going to piss me off.
Go 8-bit.
Go 8-bit. That was it. Yeah, that I really enjoyed that show. That was great.
See, I think Dara O'Brien is the wrong option because he is video games already, and I believe it's talking to an existing audience. Dara O'Brien is on the BAFTA panel as far as I'm aware. He's delivered. I think BAFTA and maybe Golden Joysticks, maybe not Golden Joysticks actually, maybe I'm getting mixed up, but he's definitely hosted some video games award shows. So Dara O'Brien is someone that people know is linked to video games, has done content on video games, and I think it would just be kind of like, oh, let's just wheel out Dara O'Brien again. It's like ITV going, who should we get to host this? Well, why are you asking the question? Because it's going to be Ant and Dec. That's the only people that you ever choose to host anything ever.
O'Leary's fuming.
So, I mean, I love Dara O'Brien as a comedian, as a host, every sense of it. I think he's kind of too safe in that sense. Whereas Patrick Stewart he's already got a foot in in video game, well, not video game, but nerd culture already through the MCU and through Star Trek. I say MCU, through Marvel / Sony creations and X-Men, not in the MCU, but he's already got a foot in nerd culture, so he brings wider nerd culture into video games culture, and he brings a sense of Hollywood as well. So I think he would actually be quite. He would not have been on my list, but now someone's kind of said it, and it's kind of sat with me for a second. I'm thinking, okay, that would be quite good.
He's got to be. I mean, as we said, he's a very, 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 very talented actor. I just don't think I've ever seen him host anything. Because being an actor and then hosting something are two completely different skill sets.
I saw him host my degree ceremony as the Chancellor of the University of Huddersfield, as a man that's born in Huddersfield. Then Patrick Stewart gets my vote. So there you go. Absolutely no bias whatsoever there. I don't know if he is actually the Chancellor of the Huddersfield University anymore, but he used to be at University of Huddersfield. He used to be the Chancellor there. So there you go. Yeah, there you go. Gary Clark says, older generation, cheeky fucker.
I've just turned 30. How old are you, Graham? 33?
28. I'm 35. I'm old.
35.
Asim says, ICU is greater than GamesMaster. You're goddamn right. Interesting, but majority of the time TV productions companies get the tone of these game shows completely wrong. It's too stereotypical and not in tune with actual culture. Hope if they do bring it back, they put some work into the tone. Do you know what? I agree. But then I see Channel 4's name on it. Channel 4 are really good at capturing that youth culture. They've done it quite a few times with, like, obviously over-the-top kind of stuff, but, like, Skins and Misfits. Yes, they aren't how people behave, generally, but they're good at capturing cultural talking points that sort of, like, almost tweener audience that kind of will hit adults and hit kids and hit everyone in between as well. The Channel 4, particularly the E4 kind of things, they're quite good at that. That said, I've seen... I can't remember the name of the company that did Legends of Gaming. It begins with an E. I can't remember. The ones that made Big Brothery kind of stuff. They did Legends of Gaming event in London. Endemol, that's it. Endemol Entertainment. They are quite good at capturing the youth vibe, and when they stepped into video games, it was horrendous. So yeah, I agree. It's definitely something to be kind of worried about. Will it just make video games look daft again? Because video games don't need GamesMaster anymore. They did back then. Yeah. They don't need it now. So if it comes back and it's exceptional, wonderful. Okay, we can say that it's a return to form. If it comes back and it's shit, then it's like, look, we've just proved ourselves as a defining area of culture, more profitable than the movies and TVs combined. And now we've just got Captain Jean-Luc Picard sat looking like a robot whilst fucking, I don't know, some Z-list celebrity plays against someone else on Mario Kart and then jumps into WWE 2K Battlegrounds, and it's like, you were shit at both of them. All you ever clearly play is FIFA and COD, and now we're making you play these games, which is making the great games already great look bad. So yeah, if it's good, I'm all on board for this. I'd like to see. I miss having proper video game TV. I mean, don't get me wrong, I spend all day watching Twitch. I watch video game TV, but I miss having proper TV and video games, because there's video games and then there's TV, and at the moment they've happily segregated into two separate things. I'd like to see that convergence again back in the middle. It would be nice.
How old were the contestants?
It depends. They were anywhere from... I think, did they have celebrity bits on it as well? I think they may have done, but unless I'm getting it mixed up, I'm pretty sure they had kids and stuff on it as well. And like some weeks you'd get, okay, we're playing against each other on Street Fighter, and then some weeks like they'd choose just a random game or something, which is actually quite funny, because you were saying I was 7 when it finished. In the 90s, anyone over the age of 7 didn't play video games, if you were to believe what everyone was saying online. So you were absolutely the target audience for that, babe. You've been let down. You've let us down. You've let yourself down.
I'm sorry for being so young.
Okay. Jumping back. Luke, good morning, dude. He says if they modernise it without going too cringe, GamesMaster could be great, but I feel it'd be just dumbed down for the masses and fail, like most mass media video games content. See, yeah, that's a great summary of what I've just said. Absolutely. You put it better and more concise. that's it. There's the fear of trying to make video games fit in with everything else, but video games have proved that it doesn't need to, and that's where Legends of Gaming kind of went wrong for me. Legends of Gaming was about Endemol Entertainment taking a large selection of huge content creators, the likes of Calfreezy, Syndicate, Allier, a bunch of others, and they were all competing to be the legend of gaming. It was basically you could tell it was Endemol because the idea was, let's have a show that has a climax, and the climax is the live event. But it was about the show as opposed to about the content creators and the video games. So it was... Video games were a vessel to talk about how good TV was, whereas GamesMaster was never that. GamesMaster was a TV show that talked about video games, and if that's why so many of them have been bad, because it's usually video games can help sell our space on TV, and it's not video games are the subject. That's what you talk about, and Legends of Gaming absolutely missed that completely. They've had a few of them in the past, like Gamesville on Sky One. I was on 2 episodes. I think you've mentioned that before, actually, and more recently that one on Dave. Is like Dave? Was that the Go 8-bit one? Yeah, I've not really watched much of it, to be fair. He might have lived on the moors with him coming from around here. Who? You're about Patrick Moore. Okay, I get you. Goes on YouTube to try and find that Asimtan via episode of Gamesville. Before
I don't remember that. How long ago was that?
I've had it's definitely a long time ago, because I think it was about 10 years ago when I had a conversation with Asim on Twitter, I think, about that at some point. Dara is too old man for a new GamesMaster presenter. It needs to be more youth focused to succeed. I agree. I think, though, even though Patrick Stewart is probably like Dara O'Brien's age plus 50%, I think Patrick Stewart, even though he is incredibly old, has... sorry, Mr. Stewart, I take it back. I think he has a bit more of that youth cut in because of his Hollywood persona, the prestige around him. So, yeah, no, I agree. Dara kind of doesn't have that as much, even though Patrick Stewart does, being older, if that makes sense.
We're only throwing out 2 names there. There's going to be a whole host of people that are going to end up potentially hosting this one. I don't know who. I never watched the original product, so for me, I'm going to watch it regardless. So that'll be interesting.
It was. Think. Did you watch Robot Wars?
Yes.
Well, it was
Not the reboot, the original ones.
Yeah, it was BBC. So think Robot Wars in the fact that it's very small studio-y, kind of like indie filming environments, and then similar to early to mid Top Gear, where they had like clearly a small set. By the end of it, they had massive sets with all these cars and shit in it. But it was kind of like that. It was a small set that was decorated to look a bit industrially kind of thing. I think, was it filmed in a warehousey kind of thing? Anyway, the whole thing wasn't huge. It was pretty small and concise. So it was quite low budget, really. But it was quite characterful because of that. And Dominic Diamond, he was clearly a gamer, and him with the knowledge of the others and the video game, it was just well done. It was well done. So if they do it again, they kind of need to keep that niche vibe. But the good thing with all of that was, I hate saying this, because if anyone is a new brand in video game marketing, what will they tell you? We are, it is for gamers, by gamers. Yeah, we know. Everything ever is for gamers, by gamers. But that literally was that. It was... it hit the notes, like we're talking about Channel 4 hitting the notes with skins and misfits and things like that. That did speak to gamers. It wasn't as cheesy as a lot of other stuff. So I think they kind of need to do that. Again, same way Top Gear went from being a car magazine to whatever the hell you can class it as now, because it just resonated and they let it evolve naturally rather than trying to push an agenda. So if they do that, then it could be good. Also, baby, your room's not purple, so you need to sort that shit out.
No, I don't even turn these lights on. It's just on a timer, so I just completely forget that they're on. If I'm being honest, you can't really see them. Like where I'm at now, because this fucking floodlight that I've got on me, I don't even notice that they're on.
Looks beautiful. Pirate says, "Hey, I'm in my golden years." Thank you for being a friend. The trouble with people is that when this goes live, there'll be so many that go, well, this isn't as good as the old show. F this shit, which is ridiculous. Yes, it's got the same name, but that doesn't mean it has to be a carbon copy of the old show. Yeah, you'll get that either way, don't you? They either stay true and they go, well, you might as well have just done the same thing again. You might as well just re-add the old ones. Or they go something completely different and try to reboot and they go, well, this isn't GamesMaster that I know. So you kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't in that sense.
Maybe they should have just brought it back but called it something different. Because you're forever living off the prestige of something that happened nearly 30 years ago. And like you say, it just divides people coming back and saying, it's not as good, this is shit. If you just brought something similar...
I've got it.
Similar vein.
I've got it. We've already had it. Not GamesMaster, GamesMister. Channel 4, feel free to hit us up. It's ice cream at jellymedia.com. You know. You're welcome.
Yes, okay, brilliant. I'm down.
Anyway, on that bombshell, let's move on. I think we've done all we can do with that. So, GamesMaster, the GamesMaster reboot that isn't named that, will potentially be coming to Channel 4 stuff sometime soon. As you can see from this artwork within this artwork within the article, put it on screen for you now. There you go. So let's cut to it. E4 are rebooting GamesMaster. So we will see. When we get more news on that, we will share with you and also keep you updated on whether they do actually reach out to us to name it GamesMaster. You never know. Anyway, speaking of reaching out, this is something that we spoke about last week and didn't really understand the implications of the fact that this next story was actually in place or why. Anyway, it turns out a lot of other people didn't understand because it's then led to following conversations. Obviously very cryptic without me telling you what it is, but the story basically revolves around Warner Brothers having a patent on Shadow of Mordor's Nemesis system. Nemesis system is basically the way that your character interacts with other characters in the game and how they get better or stronger, or by you defeating them, how other characters then step up. And basically the story evolves around you. Well, that's a really good story. It's strange that it's never been used. Turns out they have a patent on that system so that other people can't use it. Anyway, fast forward to now, and Andy Robinson at VGZ says, Warner Brothers receives criticism for the patenting of Shadow of Mordor's Nemesis system. US Patent Office approves publisher's application. Mike Bithell calls move gross. So Warner Brothers Interactive, the publisher of Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, has received criticism from some developers after it succeeded in patenting the game's Nemesis system. As reported by IGN, the US Patent and Trademark Office has confirmed that Warner's patent will go into effect on February 23rd of this year, with the option to maintain it until 2035. The patent covers a system featuring procedurally generated NPCs that exist in a hierarchy and interact with and will remember the actions of players. Any such system is now effectively the property of Warner Brothers Interactive. Warner Brothers had been trying to secure a patent for the Nemesis system since 2015. Mike Bithell, the designer behind Thomas Was Alone and John Wick Hex, was one developer who criticised the news on social media. Quote, "This is really gross, especially for a franchise that built its brilliant Nemesis system on top of a whole heap of mechanics replicated from other games," he wrote, "as all games do, because that's how culture and creativity works. Be a better neighbour, Warner Brothers." Kat Manning, a narrative designer at Riot Games, said she was concerned that Warner's patent could be used to shut down innovation in other games. Okay, we have... actually, the article reads it, so their tweets are embedded, but quote in the article here. "I looked at the patent and it's so broad as to be absurd. Multiple other emergent narrative systems that I have seen and worked on could be described with their language. It probably would not be legally enforceable, but I and other indie devs don't have the money to find out. She added, I have zero interest in copying the Nemesis system whole cloth. Personally, there are a number of things I would do differently, but the patent is so broad that I'm still worried that it's a license to stop any similar work from being developed. Historically, many game developers have patented gameplay systems featured in their projects, but, as noted by PC Gamer, there are few public examples of them being actually enforced. Bandai Namco patented arranging a plurality of objects, like in Katamari Damacy. Is that how you pronounce that? I'm going to say it is. But there are many games that feature such a system. Likewise, EA's patent on the BioWare dialogue wheel didn't shut down Deus Ex Mankind Divided or Fallout 4. Microsoft has also had a patent on games awarding bonus points if the player performs feats of style that are not necessary tasks of the game for 19 years, but has seemingly never enforced it on the many games with style points. As pointed out in a video by Game Maker's Toolkit, one patent that did result in legal action was related to floating arrows that told players where to go in Sega's Crazy Taxi, which was part of the lawsuit Sega filed against Fox Interactive in 2003 after The Simpsons Road Rage used the same feature. However, Sega's dispute with Fox Interactive involved many more similarities than just the game's floating arrows. The suit was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. So, Warner Brothers are receiving criticism after their Shadow of Mordor's Nemesis system has been patented with an extremely wide reaching verbiage used to describe it. Could potentially have effects on others in the industry. What are your thoughts, Bib?
This is rough. As Mike Biffle said, it's interesting that they've managed to patent something after taking inspiration from many other games and then just slapping a tag on top of it. It could be that they've done this so that people have to go to them to be able to pay to use this system, so they own it and then they can rent it out for people to be able to use. But who's to say that they're not going to use this as a base but then create it themselves? The reason we've got so far with video games is because they've taken inspiration from everything and then they thought, okay, we can make this better, we can improve this, and they'll tack on 2 or 3 things on top of it, and then it makes a new way of playing games, like the dialogue wheel that's been used in the likes of Fallout, Mass Effect, things like that. So I don't understand how they think that they can. Well, they have done it. I don't say how they think they can get away with it. They've done it. So I'm very interested to see how this works. I mean, that's probably the reason why we haven't seen this in any other game. It's a very, very good system, and I do like the way that the system plays out. It makes the game feel unique, and it feels like you are having a different. I could have a completely different experience of a game than you do, purely because of I may have died or I may have killed the enemy in a completely different formula or format than you have. So I like that. I like the way that plays out. However, how people will find a way to get around this, because there's no way that the system is never going to get used apart from Warner Brothers. It's just never going to happen.
No, I agree. I think on paper, taking someone else's intellectual property and sticking it in your game is bad. Absolutely. I don't think anyone would dispute that. I mean, the fact that even the article names like 3 or 4 other key instances of where people have done that. So Microsoft, EA, Sega, they've all Bandai Namco. So Bandai Namco, EA, Microsoft, Sega all had similar sort of things in terms of protecting their IP. The issue, though, is how wide-ranging that wording is. Is one of the things that the video games industry is very good at is allowing the video games industry in terms of we're all kind of in it together. And is that because the video games industry has traditionally, stereotypically been this small knit community of developers that all like you go to like one of those like hack sort of meetups. I can't remember what they're called, but basically where you all just kind of like go build a bit of code and make something spectacular happen in video games or whatever. That's kind of the games industry at its core when you boil down to the developers. So everyone's always been pro sharing ideas, sharing everything. Is this because it's Warner Brothers, which is a huge endemic brand in terms of this is in gaming and outside of gaming? Is it because it's using Shadow of Mordor, which is a Lord of the Rings brand? Is it because this is so big that it's not just is it losing touch with that foundation of what made video games video games? Yeah, we want to protect our game. Obviously, this is our game. We've spent time developing this. We've paid shitloads of money for the licenses. God knows for that. So we absolutely, definitely deserve to get paid for this. But is it a case of, with the patents being so gross, as Mike Bithell calls it, is that the difference here? The fact that Warner Brothers haven't just said, okay, there's our Nemesis system. It's really good. Keep it all. Is it the fact that it's been so poorly worded that it's now kind of almost halting creativity? That's the issue, is if we start to get people locking things down so wide that something that's close to the mark, doesn't hit the mark, but is close to the mark, is oh no, that looks like it's a hit for me, you can't do that. And if you do that, then yeah, we're taking you to court. Because, I mean, how could one-man band developers take Warner Brothers to court? It's just not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
I think this system is still going to be used by people. I think it'll be naive to say it won't. They'll just find ways around it and do it themselves. I mean, if it was just a case of the patent it so that people can go and pay to use their system, that's perfectly fine. You've developed it. It's a fantastic system. People want to use it. Make bank. Do you know what I mean? It's do whatever you need to do. I don't think it'll be enforceable. I don't think that they will. I think they'll just be like winking at people, going, "I see you using our system there."
Well, I can kind of either see it being a really bad PR exercise for Warner Brothers if they start going after basically the feeble one-legged man developer, someone that's only just keeping afloat, only keeping himself balanced, and then Warner Brothers go, "That's too close," and he's like, "It's actually really different, but I can't fund that." I can see that kind of thing happening, maybe. What's probably less likely is that happens multiple times, and then someone with sugar daddy-esque ability to come and fund a bankrolling kind of like, "Nope, we'll take this fight if you want to take it that way," to then get it changed. Because, yeah, patent exists in that sense, but would that patent being so loosely labelled hold up in court? Not so much, because it wouldn't. If you start to get legalities picking it apart, then it's like you can't actually just say the colour blue has been patented, because no, what you didn't, you made is a specific tone of blue. You didn't blue. It's yeah. Anyway, let's jump into the chat. What's been said? The last series after Diamond left GamesMaster was filmed in an abandoned prison. There you go, David, with the memories. Pirate says, what game? Shadow of Mordor, but you've probably seen that by now from when you've written that. I am curious. On the news story, not sure I go with Biffle and Outrage. It's an innovative system, so Warner Brothers are more than within their right to patent it. Also doesn't stop anyone else doing something similar, just as long as it's not the same. As the article points out, dialogue systems from Mass Effect still being done. A bit of faux outrage here, I think. Warner Brothers patented to secure their system. Asim also then says, I reviewed Ninja Gaiden and played Grabbed by the Ghoulies, which is the Halloween challenge. If you find, well done. It won't stop other companies doing something similar. You'll still see other games having something similar, even though it's a wide-ranging patent. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that is, I say hopefully, just because we're obviously looking at a news article that's asking the question to our face. That is where you think it would happen. That's where you think. That's kind of where it has happened. It's almost like streamers being allowed to play games. Yeah, we're kind of letting you get away with it. That's kind of what it is. That's kind of how content creation works. If you play a video game on stream, a lot of content creators that haven't really done the research and haven't been around for a few years just feel that they've got a right to play video games on stream. No, you aren't. Not really. So that's kind of how that sort of stuff works. So the Mass Effect stuff, the arrows from whatever the Sega game was it Crazy Taxi? Yeah, Crazy Taxi into a Simpsons Road Rage kind of thing.
Great game, by the way.
Both. What was the Robert Kopp Crazy Taxi version that we were looking at the other day? Like,
oh God, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, and I really want to play it.
Right, yeah,
obviously.
I mean, this is absolutely not infringing on Crazy Taxis. This is mental Uber.
Oh God, what was it called? It was something just as generic. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's something else. Like Taxi Crazy or something like that. It was called
Crazy Bus. Says Gary. Hysterical Bus. There we go. Yeah. What's more likely is that yeah. Warner Brothers Taxi Chaos. That's it. So there you go. There's a Crazy Taxi knockoff on PS4 called Taxi Chaos. So fill your boots. There you go. What's more likely is Warner Brothers are proud of what they've developed, and they've realised that the rest of the industry are looking at it, and so that people don't just carbon copy and knock it off, they've put the patent in. If people then develop their own systems that work in similar ways but are in fact different, then the likelihood is that's not going to be the case. Warner Brothers don't want to spend all of their time in court fighting lawsuits that they know would be probably questionable at best in terms of their chances of winning. It's just a case of keeping people away from their stuff. That's what it probably will be. There is always a chance that Warner Brothers could be evil, but chances are they probably won't be. I think it's more to stop big name devs using an innovative system they've created and making billions. Yeah, absolutely. That's what it comes down to. Usually, it's not a case of they're strangling out the creativity of the market, because ideally the whole market benefits off the rest of the market being creative. Warner Brothers developed from other indie developers being creative and putting ideas into the market. So I mean, we've seen it with Battle Royale. Epic Games absolutely capitalized on indie developers. I mean, look at what happened with the whole Battle Royale genre. That came from indie developers and is now the single most profitable that props up Epic Games. So they kind of want the people below them to still be creative. So it would go against their best interest in the long term to stifle creativity in the industry. And worst case, a small indie developer has an idea, you just buy them. There you go. You Warner Brothers. Just nice. Crazy Taxi was absolute classes, Gary. I think some Uber drivers use Crazy Taxi way of learning to drive, to be honest. Pretty much. Although I don't remember. It's been a long old time since I've got into an Uber. I don't know. Anyway, one final story. A quick change of pace. Anybody interested in boxing games?
Yay!
Would you play a boxing game? Have you been hyped for a boxing game for a while? Are you missing boxing games? What are your thoughts, Bib?
I think we've. When was the last one? It was Fight Night Champion, wasn't it? And when did that come out?
Was that PS3?
2008.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't even this.
We haven't got one of the last generation.
Yeah. Mad says yes. It looks awesome. Is that a different match?
Yeah.
I still play Fight Night Champion. He's got a red name, not orange name, and he's not got the Sword of Power. But yeah, Madge says I still play Fight Night Champion. I mean, I absolutely adore boxing games all the way back to like Mega Drive and SNES sort of times. What was the one where you were this like weird little boxer going at the bottom of the screen, and you always had to fight like some big Mike Tyson looking beast at the top of the screen? Was it like Super Punch Out or something like that? I can't remember.
Mike Tyson Super Punch Out, yeah.
Yeah, and like I've played a few different boxing games from there all the way through to playing all of the modern games. Fight Night Round 3 was still my favourite all-time boxing game, just because of how good it looked. They kind of sacked off the art and craft of making nipples and belly buttons look nice. They just focused on, okay, we'll get a rough frame and make the face look exceptional, and then allow you to like heal and blah. It just absolutely resonated. Came out at the time when video games were exceptional with the PS3 and Xbox 360. That sort of it just hit very, very well. No pun intended. So yeah, the fact that we haven't had a boxing game for a while is a bit disappointing, because I've got UFC 2. I've now got UFC 3 because I've got EA Play, but I just want to stand and like I want a fucking good old Jim Ross JR's barbecue slobber knocker. I want to be stood there punching and have haymakers swinging left, right, and centre. But then someone grabs hold of my leg, drops me in an ankle lock, and then we're in some sort of like weird make-out dance on the floor. Which I get it, it's MMA, it's part of it, but I want to just fisticuffs. So give me a boxing game. I would like a boxing game. Anyway, the reason we're waffling all of this is this tweet. We don't have a news article, so we will fill in the blanks ourselves and with you guys in the chat. But this tweet here from Ricky Hatton, MBE, aka Hitman Hatton. I've seen the latest graphics in at ESBC game. Amazing what they have done. Arriving soon. So if we hover over, ESBC is Esports Boxing Club, the official page for Esports Boxing Club by Steel City Interactive, partnered with WBC, Ring Magazine, IBF, CompuBox, and more. I literally had not heard about this until this morning. I did not know this was a thing. Anyway, I will click through so you can see the image on screen here. This is Ricky Hitman Hatton. Looking mighty fetching in his next underwear. I see you, Ricky. Hey, full on mocap.
Chappy, doesn't
He looks a happy chappy.
Yeah.
This was just before 4-1. He was nervous, and then after if he took his pictures like 2 hours later, he'd been like, hey. So
funny story about Ricky Hatton. He only lives up the road from where I am in Hyde, and he was at our local pub, and he kept on punching me in the ribs, asking me if I want a pint, big man.
Seriously.
Seriously, I was stood at the bar, and he's just punching me in the ribs, like not like fucking winding me or anything like that. And he's like, "Do you want a pint, big man? Do you want a pint?" I'm like,
not like Conor
"All
McGregor
right."
punches people in a bar.
Yeah, I'm like, "I'm all right, mate. I'm all right." He's like, "Have one." So yeah, he ended up buying me a pint. I'd never spoken to him before in my life. I was literally waiting to have a game of pool, and he was stood next to me, chatting shit about City.
I met him briefly at a City game. I was there doing hosting stuff, content bits, and I was there with Bateson. And he was like, "Is that Hatton?" I was like, "No, that's not Hatton." It's like, "That's well Ricky Hatton." I was like, "No, it's not." I mean, this is rich coming from me as a chunky boy now, but I was like, in my mind, Ricky Hatton was always this streamlined sort of like,
Go fight your fit.
yeah, and basically he just evolved as anyone does. He got a bit older, didn't train as much, and he was just a bit chunkier. But as soon as he turned around, it was like, "Fuck me, that's Ricky Hatton." Just about to.
As Mike said, is there any pub that he hasn't been in? He was in the railway, Mike. He was in the railway when Ronnie had it.
Well, within like a split second, I turned around and said to Bateson, "Yeah, that was Ricky Hatton." Turned back and he was stood there with his arm around Ricky Hatton, getting a selfie. so there you go. There you go. So that's Ricky Hatton getting photo scanned in, and I thought honestly to myself, esports boxing club. First things first, my issue is esports has a lowercase e and a capital S. This is gonna be a catastrophe. They don't even know how to say esports, and they're calling themselves esports. This is gonna be shit. It's not gonna capture my attention. It clicks on the image, and I'm like, "Fuck me, that looks well good." So,
is this the game that there's been rumours that there's going to be a new boxing game for ages. Is this the one that's been touted? I think Eddie Hearn was the one that was talking about it.
Eddie Hearn has been kind of... I want to say he's been doing what Eddie Hearn does best. He's been willing something into existence. I know he's spoken to EA and things in the past because he's said so. But he's also kind of said that nothing much has really been happening there. He has said they're trying to do other things, so this could be it. There is nothing about Matchroom on Esports Boxing Club. It does mention that they partnered with WBC, Rig Magazine, IBF, CompuBox, and more. Surely if Matchroom are going to be in there, they wouldn't be in the and more bit. So that kind of makes me think maybe not. But it looks good. It looks good. The only thing I will say is those screenshots that I've shown you. I were looking in comments. I can't find it. I was going to bring the comment up, but it may have been on the original Hatton tweet. But someone was basically saying these are renders, not actually. We've not actually seen any in-game, in-engine sort of footage, which then kind of makes you think, okay, but so we're looking at artwork and mock-ups. It might not actually look like that. But we can believe, though. Let's have a boxing game. Ooh, I mean, I am absolutely the boxing equivalent of a Glory supporter. Do I watch boxing all the time? No. Do I know anything about any of the boxers? No. Is Anthony Joshua in a fight? Am I going to watch it? Absolutely. Yes, please.
To be fair, to a certain degree, I'm exactly the same. Like, I don't know I don't live and breathe it. I'm more than happy to stay up and watch the matches or anything like that, but I got into boxing from the games, not because I was a purist of the sport. So it kind of goes hand in hand. It's very similar actually to how it came with golf. I was definitely playing Tiger Woods and PGA games way back when I could even know how to swing a golf club. As I said, I used to piss out a Walker because he was out playing golf, we was out playing football, and now it seems to have come full circle. But I imagine, right? Picture this: the year is 2023, right? All the arenas are back open again. We're able to do esports events, and we're having esports boxing games. How fucking sick would that be?
So, do you know what got me into boxing games? Got me back into boxing games again. You're talking about arenas. It was the American Apprentice. Like in the UK, you'll get like Alan Sugar going, I want you to make a flower stall and sell flowers. And it's like, oh, great, that's super exciting. But in America, it's like, we've got the rights to Fight Night Round 3, the new game on the Xbox 360 in-house games console. And I was like, oh, so that's what made me try Fight Night Round 3, because I saw this. Anyway, they'd set up this event, and they basically had the full boxing ring set up with pods and podiums in the boxing ring, and people. So they did like an esportsy sort of tournament-y thing. Games. It was before it was probably called esports. Anyway, look badass. So yeah, just that was amazing. Fucking get me in an arena. Fucking 10,000 people stood behind me like, smash his teeth in.
Yeah, that'd be so sick. Like you see it all the time. You see Tekken tournaments. You see Street Fighter tournaments and stuff like that. I think. I don't want to sound like I'm slacking off all the other fighting games, but I feel like this would be so much more technical.
See that my question was around the FGC there. So fighting game community is huge and has been passionate and around forever. But the fighting game community is based around the likes of obviously the Tekkens, the Dead or Alives, the Street Fighters, and Mortal Kombats and whatever. So these games are similar in the fact that it's usually what do you call them? Not side scrollers, basically versus whatever that. The description of that screen is one player on the left, one player on the right, and they fight each other. Yeah, maybe a bit of 3D-ness to them, but it's genuinely you're looking at almost a 2D-ish sort of fight. Then there's super moves and powers and all this, and it's quick and it's fast-paced. Would the fighting game community and the boxing community merge and meld together? Because we've already seen the fighting game community, the boxing community and the YouTube community are having struggles trying to merge together with the likes of the Logan Pauls, the KSIs, and so on. If those are struggling to merge, and that's just a broadcast function, would something like that? I mean, maybe. I think it might be difficult,
The way that I say it's going to be a lot more technical is because fighting games by nature are so fast. But if you was to slow a fighting game down by like 50%, I think it's a completely different game because fair enough, like your reaction time is the reason why you'd end up winning most of the fighting games. Again, I'm not part of the fighting games community clearly because I'm talking absolute shit. But if you was to slow a fighting game down by like 50%, I think it's a completely different game. Like you'd have a little bit more time to think about the combos that you're going to be doing, whether or not you're going to block and attack. That's why I think a boxing game could be a little bit more technical because it's not a fast-paced game by any stretch of the imagination. You're going to be spending 60% of the time blocking, waiting for your opponent's energy to drain a little bit or miss throw a punch or something like that. I think it would be, for me, it would be a hell of a lot better watch than a fighting game. The fighting game stuff blows my mind. If I can't actually remember the last time I played a proper fighting game, not a beat 'em up game, like when we was playing an actual Street Fighter, a Tekken, a Dead or Alive fighting game. I was always so bad at them, I never really got into them. No, but as for a boxing perspective, I think how technical it would be. It's like watching a UFC match. I think they're a lot more technical. Not a real one. I mean, the game. I think that I don't really watch UFC. I don't particularly like it as a sport, but a UFC fighting game, I think it's just a case of you've seen people going in and winning a match in 5 seconds because they've done the right thing at the right time.
Superman punch, game over.
Yeah, so I think when it comes down to a boxing game, I think it would be such a good watch as an esports game. Yeah, and I hope we can see something like that.
We're absolutely not shitting on an FGC, by the way. Fighting games are huge, and rightly so. I don't enjoy them because, for me, Street Fighter 2 wasn't for me, it wasn't at its best when it was an esport. I liked it when we were kind of like a bit cat and mouse. You didn't want to overextend. You didn't want to. Whereas if you watch fighting game community broadcasts, it's kind of like memorizing this insane like sequence of button presses, 35 presses long, and you've basically got someone because he didn't block at that split second. You've got him in this like mega sort of like death. So yeah, I would much prefer to watch something like boxing as an esport. But that said, maybe that's just because boxing is something that's already fully broadcastable. Maybe.
Well, if it comes down to an esports side of it, and you could like imagine this, you got to import your character and stuff like that. But when you go into an esports element, you get to it's all balanced stats. So like you won't have one fighter that's got like the stamina drains faster than the other one. I think that's the difference, because in like a fighting game, you can smash all the buttons that you want. There's no stamina gauge. You can just keep on going as long as the punches are hitting and their health is deteriorating. But when it comes to like a boxing game, you always have a stamina bar, so you can't throw too many jabs. Otherwise, your like defense is just non-existent. Like you can't throw anything else. You're literally just fighting for the ring. You're just trying to give yourself a little bit of a breather while the person's becoming a bit more offensive. I think if both of the stats were exactly the same, it would literally just be who's better at the game, and that's what I enjoy. That's what I want to see. That's why I like live LAN parties when it comes to anything, because it's always just about the skill. It's always about judging split-second decisions, and again, that's what boxing is like in real life. And I think that's why it could be a very, 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 very good esports game if something was to get put forward like that.
Just imagine you're fucking watching some esports tournament. You've got the equivalent of the Shroud character in a semi-final. Winner gets through to the grand final of this tournament and is just playing some unknown guy from Hyde called Bobby. I don't know if he said something else, but auto-corrected it to Bobby, so we'll just run with that. Shroud's there like full-on dancing before the match starts, like ding ding. Baby just blind, closes his eyes, uppercut, boom, one punch KO. He's out of there. Oh yes, please. Yeah. Oh, yes, please. Shout out to Pirate as well, because after talking about Bates and meeting Ricky Hatton, he found the picture! So there you go. Bates and Ricky Hatton at the Empty Had, as you can see through all the blue seats in the background. There's actually quite a lot of seats full there. I think it was like a Real Madrid-ish sort of game, so it was pretty full in one stand. Sorry, I realised I was being positive towards City and I thought I had to take it back, so there you go. Anyway, the whole point of all of that is that we could have a boxing game soon. Once again, I'll show you the image. Esports Boxing Club. We will keep our eye on this. We'll keep you up to date with what we know.
Very excited.
Yeah, it does look pretty good. Exciting times. But that is the end of the scoop. Thank you everyone for joining us for yet another Monday of news. Appreciate you all being here. Before we do start to wrap things up, let me just jump up for the final comments. I think most people are like that unless you're hardcore into boxing, says Gary. I'm assuming that's in the only watching the big fights. Yeah.
Big fight, baby.
Mike says, I've not seen you in a boxing ring though. I mean, all the time, mate. All the time. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've got no issues with going in a boxing ring. I can walk around a ring holding up a numbered card like nobody's business.
I'd just be on turnstiles, out of the turnbuckles like Stone Cold
with your Steve Weisers.
yeah, on my waistcoat.
If Eddie Hearn is behind the boxing game, then I can't wait to see if his dad backs a darts game. I don't know the meaning in that. Boxing games are easy to get into and hard to master type of thing. The barrier to entry is low, very low compared to Street Fighter, Tekken, Virtua Fighter, etc. Yeah, I agree. Fighting games are all about frames, animation times, and character matchups. A boxing game simpler in that respect. Skill comes in from timing and knowing what to do and when. Easier to watch and understand for the layman than a fighting game. I need to see Gary Clark versus Garlic Clark if we get a boxing game. PPV, obviously. Absolutely. I mean, we'll make it happen. Well, that can be the next invitational. There we go. Do you know what? I'll get our people to speak to Gary's people, and then Gary's people can figure out who Garlic Clark's people are, and then at that point we'll realise that fuck, I don't even know if this is legal anymore, and then we'll just have a fight. If we could, not in the game, not real. I mean, I don't know. You never know. Depends if it gets all personal by that point. But that is for a different time. For now, though, we are going to wrap things up. What are we saying this afternoon, babe? Is there any games? Are we gaming? What's the games? Do the games with the games?
At this moment in time, I'm not sure. I need to speak to someone first because I don't want to start a game and then realise that I have to jump off for something. My actual work stuff is done for today, so I'm free. However, I need to speak to someone first.
He needs to speak to a man about a dog. Nice. Okay, well, we may be back with games. The easiest way of finding out is hitting follow on the channel right here on Twitch. It's free to do so. It doesn't cost you a penny. So if you have been lurking, you've liked the discussion, then feel free to hit follow because you'll get notified not only when we go live with a scoop every day, but every time we go live with additional content like video game streams too. So feel free to do that. Before we do disappear, and if we do come back with games this afternoon, that'll be lovely. If not, it'll be tomorrow. But before that happens, babe, is there anything that you would like to add?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much for joining us on the first episode of this week. If you do want to be involved with the show, there's two ways that you can do that. First of all, find us on social media at Ice Cream Littles across all major social media platforms. Second way, get into our Discord. There's an area in there called The Scoop. All we need from you is your thoughts and impressions. The URL, we can then give you thoughts and impressions on the very next show. What time tomorrow, Mr. Grape?
Well, tomorrow it would be at the sprightly and early hour of 10 a.m. Ish. 10 a.m.-ish. As mentioned, we don't do this full time. This is our bit on the side. So some days we go live at 10 a.m. Some days, most days, it's a bit later. But you know, that is what it is. We appreciate you all being here. Thank you, Pirate, for the host. Enix for the sub. And me for the sub. Nice, me. You welcome me. Thanks, me. Nice. So if you do have any primes or hosts or even just a lurk lying around, we appreciate everyone because you make this what it is. We are going to disappear. We may be back shortly. If not, we'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m.-ish. Until then, have yourselves a fantastic day. And stay frosty.